Of course, as usual, most majority of you would not like my video because again, you live in a culture where family is everything, parenting is everything. Honey, there's a difference between discipline and abuse, and majority of you have been abused at one stage in your life or the other. But no, we're not going to speak about it because it goes against what society has told you is right. Mind you, half of the things your parents did to you growing up as kids, if it was a stranger who did it to you, they would be arrested right now. They would be thrown in jail and throw the key far away. But no, when it comes to parents, you say forgive, forgive, forgive. I feel you. Now, this lady Angela came out with a story that was shocking to a lot of people because you watch her lifestyle and you think, oh, this is a put together woman. Even if you see she's very empathetic. And funny enough, majority of the empathetic people we know today in society came from a place of trauma, not understanding how to be and how to have boundaries or discipline and know when to walk away from people, so they mask it up with empathy, which empathy is a real thing. But let's even digress. Now, a lot of you people had things to say. Instead of you to listen to a woman's story and learn a few things out of it to see how you could probably change your future or apologize for your past mistakes, no, you wouldn't do it because after all, she spoke about parents. God bless the fact that her mother is alive to actually watch those videos and see the damage she had created for her child. But most of you don't want to talk about the fact that half of society in Nigeria right now, we're never ready to be parents. We're never ready to even be married, but because it's the next best thing to do, a lot of people were pushed into it. Oh, get married after school, they say. Or have children because it's the next best thing. And mind you, if you don't have a boy, it's a problem. We don't want to talk about the stress that comes with raising 8 kids in a family because, oops, it's by the grace of God. And the one line that actually makes my skin itch is when people justify this behavior by saying, oh, but our parents didn't know better. It's the way they were raised. Yo, love is something that comes from within. Love, you don't teach an animal how to love their puppies or their little babies. They just know how to do it. You would think that a more elevated species of people would actually know how to show love to their children, but no, let's excuse that because half of the people who traveled abroad somehow magically knew how to behave when they were in the white man's country, but when they came back here, it's the ill treatment, it's the abuse, but we mask it as discipline. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, there's some children that actually deserve the whooping. Let's be real about that. But there's whooping a child for correction and doing the most just because you want to prove that you are in control and in charge of that person. Now, this woman's story is not anything special. You know why? Because there are too many stories like this. I have heard this from when I was a child, and I've heard it recently on the internet of parents doing all kinds of things and putting inside their children's who has, But God, let's even speak about the damage this does. Because a lot of us parents, these millennial parents now, made a lot of mistakes in overcompensating for the bad behaviors of our parents, all in the name of, oh, I don't want to be like my parents, or I don't want to act like them, I don't want to discipline. So what do we do? Instead of actually creating a balance and a structure between what is right and what is excessive, we started with soft parenting. Oh, now we're the softest. Oh, don't talk to your child like this. Oh, don't do that. And now we're in a generation where we call it woke, and our children lack respect and discipline and don't understand the importance and values of money or anything around society because we are woke and we do not want to be our parents, but we're actually damaging and creating the new monsters of tomorrow. But we don't want to talk about it, do we? Now, I speak to the successful parents because we'll address both parts. There are 2 classes of people, the rich ones and then the ones that are below average. Now, the rich ones, you guys are so busy working and trying to make this grand lifestyle for yourself that you actually forget to raise your children. You give your children more freedom than they actually need for children under 18. Because tell me why children at 14 to 17 are actually found late at night at 3 o'clock in the morning on the streets with no supervision, no guidance. Tell me why our children, especially the successful group, are so what they classify as cool right now is consuming all kinds of substances. I'm talking about and drinking alcohol at their tiny age. Tell me why, when it comes to intimacy, a 12-year-old is so open to tell you, oh my God, this is the way at 12. Tell me why we're not educating our children. And then let's say if your child misbehaves in school and then the principal calls you as a parent, you have a way to justify all this behavior, because after all, you can throw that money aside. And mind you, these same children are the ones who are influencing the ones that don't really have and making them feel less than, literally dragging them into this group of non-entity, now because they want to feel like they belong. They joined the bad gang, which is the cool gang, according to you. Tell me why. You know what's the one thing that we don't want to talk about? The truth is that majority of parents will not see the laughter of their little ones in 2027, because they would have already been gone by now, because of all the things they consume and all the activities they get into that is not of their age. There's a reason why maturity is at a certain level in life, because by then you already have boundaries and you already understand the rules of how life works. But hey, let's keep raising children for ourselves and not for this society. Now, let's go to the other side of town, the ones that are not as successful as the upper ones. Now, tell me, parents, why is it that when the police lady went to schools, they found your children with devices that already had explicit content in it, which they were selling on the market to foreigners for 500,000? Tell me why your children between the ages of 12 and 14 are exposing themselves to make money. Where did they learn that at? Because majority of you want to sit down and make a whole football team of children without understanding how to cater for them and nurture them the correct kind of way and actually discipline them. Tell me why this is what is on their mind at this point in time. Tell me why all your children are on Snapchat doing all kinds of things, which, by the way, they keep coming in schools and talking about, social media this, social media that, while parents are not monitoring the activities of their children at all. Tell me why. Now, let's get back to it. Our parents were borderline narcissistic. They were literal tyrants, and they took their vex out on a lot of us, and they forgot to discipline us. They forgot to teach us how to be straightforward human beings. They forgot to teach us respect, because what they considered as respect was actually putting the fear of God into you, because other than that, they didn't have any other way. Now, the new generation of parents who are creating woke children don't want to do any of that, but then they forget to be actual parents. They are too focused on trying to be friends with their children instead of actually raising their children. Now, there's nothing wrong. Me, for example, my daughter knows from beginning, this is mommy. Mommy don't play. Mommy don't do that nonsense. But also, I have to bring myself down to her age group to explain certain things to her so she can structure her life in a way that affects her in a positive way. And when she walks out there in the street, people can say, damn, that's a well brought up child. That is discipline. That is nurturing your child, not what you guys are doing. We have to get to the point in society to admit to ourselves that majority of the people who have the capability to actually bear children are not parent ready. They are not ready to take on the responsibility of actually catering for a full human on their own when they haven't even finished nurturing their own selves. They haven't even gotten themselves to the point where they can say, you know what, I am mentally, financially, emotionally stable enough and physically ready to handle some other individual. Having a child is not a badge of honor that you have to put and say, yeah, I have it. Raising that child correctly is the only way forward. And it's not about being Nigerian or whatever. We need to keep some morals for the love of God. We need to keep respect. These are not things that we say, oh, this is Western and this is Africa. No. Certain things should never be abolished. Certain things should always be there. Please be mindful of what your children are doing, because this holiday, my goodness, we saw a lot of things and heard a lot of things that are not normal for the age groups. But keep playing though. We'll keep talking about your kids later.